Shalom. I wanted to, Abba's finally given me a release to do another video. I keep saying yes to him, so this past time we had to come through the Passover, so I was just getting kind of reoriented to everything, and we're watching and waiting, and I just thought this is great. And he gave me another pattern, so I've been doing some in-depth research, and it's taken me a while. And someone else had requested a study in Daniel chapter 4, and I started reading Daniel in the Septuagint, and there's actually 2 chapters that are in the Septuagint that are not in some of the other translations. So it's kind of interesting. So I've been trying to figure out how those fit into the pattern of things. It's almost like they were kept and not shown, because I don't know, a lot of people don't read in the Septuagint. So that's kind of what I was doing. So I'm working on Daniel 4, but in the meantime, I've also been working on a couple of other things. Also intercession, and again coming through Pesach or Passover. So getting kind of reoriented and watching and seeing the next festival come up. So we're coming into Shavuot, depending on which month we're in, but I thought this was so cool. And this is Abigail and David. This is a pattern also of this time we're in, and it is a pattern of sheep shearing. So I wanted to do a little bit more research, because I had run across a video looking into some other things, and this video was posted, and what's very important, it was posted in May 20th, 2011, and this guy is doing kind of going through, and he's talking about sheep shearing in Israel. So I'm like, I remember that passage in about David and Abigail. So I had a few dreams. I've been doing battle in the spirit. It's been lots of warfare. So and in my dreams I've been doing battle. So here is a picture of of a sheep getting sheared. So I kind of thought that was really neat. So I started doing research, and we're going to go into 1 Samuel 25, and it talks about Samuel had died, and all Israel were gathered and mourned for him, and he was buried, and David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. So he talks about Nabal, and how Abigail interceded. I'll save a link so you can go through and read this. And she interceded for not only her husband Nabal, but also David, and protected him from slaying Nabal with a sword and having his blood on his hands. So that was very interesting to watch that, and you can listen to this and go through it. And now it was during the sheep shearing time, so I wanted to get another source of information to find, well, when exactly is sheep shearing time in Israel, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I'll scroll down, look through this. And Abigail went to Nabal, and see, he was at a feast in his house, like the feast of a sovereign. And Nabal's heart was glad within him, and he was exceedingly drunk. So I'm wondering what feast this was, because it seems like it could be during the feast of Shavuot, because it seems to be corresponding the same time frame. And this was really neat, because David heard that Nabal was dead, and said, "Blessed is Yahuwah, who has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal," which I think means fool, "and has kept his servant from evil. For Yahuwah has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head." And David sent and spoke to Abigail to take her as his wife. And when the servants of David had come to Abigail at Karmel, So that's also the same place of where Eliyahu is, or Elijah. So that's the same area. That we sent us to you to ask you to become his wife. And she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, here is your female servant, a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my master. So that's the same concept as what Yeshua did at Passover or Pesach. So you have the same symbology here and the same pattern developing. So it's kind of like a symbol of this. And Abigail hurried and rose and rode on a donkey with her 5 female attendants. And she followed the messengers of David and became his wife. Now it says David had also taken, I think that's Aniom of Israel, and so both of them were his wives. So here again you have 2 wives. It's kind of like the same concept of Esther and the 2 houses that they went to after they went before the king. So again, it talks about that. So I thought that was a really neat correlation between those 2. Now, I did find the other resource. Let's see if I can get the picture back here. I wonder if that's it. Yep. So I wanted to give a little picture here, and it says, wool has been a valuable product in the Bible lands. In ancient times, most of the clothing which the Israelites wore were made of wool. The large outer garment or mantle was usually woolen. The shearing months in Israel are May and June. Now he says Palestine, but I'm not going to say that. And this is from the book Manner and Customs of Bible Lands by Fred Wight, W-I-G-H-T, 1953. The sheep are washed before they are sheared. Solomon's song speaks of sheep that are even shorn, which come up from the washing. Now this is Song of Solomon 4:2. Now I wanted to bring this up. Now this is so awesome. See, you are fair, my love. See, my love, see, you're fair. Your eyes are as doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats going down Mount Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn sheep, which have come up from the washing. All of them bear twins, and not one loses her young. Now, I did a video about twins in Acts, and it talks about that. I think it was in the ship dream about the 2 alarms going off. Now I wanted to show a picture of this. And your lips are like a cord of scarlet. Where do we see the cord of scarlet coming from? And that would be Rahab the harlot having a cord of scarlet down the wall of Jericho, and how her and her family was saved. Now that's also a pattern of the whore, because she was a prostitute. So even in the midst of that, Abba was enabling her and her family, her father's house, to be saved out of that. So what a wonderful picture. And so we have many references of different things in the Song of Solomon. It talks about, here you're going to have 2 fawns, twins of gazelle, pasturing among the lilies. So here within this whole theme of sheep shearing is you have this picture of the Song of Solomon during this time frame, which would be May and June. So I'll leave a link so you can finish reading that. And I went here and I found, oh, that's the same picture, sorry. I went in here and I found this commentary, which was really neat. So, and it talks about his 2 wives and what's translated, and I'll leave a link so you can look this up. And he went with 2 wives, and let's see here. Now, the first, Abigail means like, I think it means like father's joy. So my father is joy. Here it is. Where is that at? My mouse is here. My father is joy, or my father's joy. So that's what Abigail means. And then it talks about, and he went up, and it has a reference here of what that means. And then the other wife The other wife is my brother is delight. And it's kind of the same referencing in my sister, my spouse in the Song of Solomon. So what a wonderful time frame that we're in. And again, he's the date for the dinner. He's my date. So I have to track the calendars in order to find out where we're at a little bit, but because he's the date for the dinner, he's the one that's picking us up, right? So whenever that is. So not to lose heart and not to, grow weary. And, this is Abigail's a wonderful time of example of intercession to keep innocent people from spilling blood. So I look at it like that. So I love this picture. Now this part is in the Septuagint, and it actually says Kings 1. So I'll leave a link so you can look this up here. Now I wanted to finish reading from Manner and Customs of Bible Lands by Fred Witt, because what a beautiful picture. Now it has it here. Let's see, Song of Solomon. The color of the wool varies somewhat according to the color of animal shorn, but white wool is considered to be the most valuable. The prophet compares sins forgiven with the whiteness of wool. Sheepskin. From ancient times to modern days, it has often been customary for pastoral people to make for themselves coats out of skins of sheep, with wool still adhering to the skins. The epistle to the Hebrews tells of the persecuted heroes of faith, saying of some of them that they wandered about in sheepskins. That's Hebrews 11:37. And I'll leave a link so you can look through this. And I love the Isaiah 53:6, all like sheep have gone astray. And then, of course, David talks about he restoreth my soul. Playing with the sheep. The shepherd is so constantly with the sheep that sometimes his life with them becomes monotonous. Sometimes we forget how he may feel about us. Therefore, he will occasionally play with them. He does this by pretending to run away from his sheep, and they will soon overtake him and completely surround him, gamboling with great delight. Sometimes Yahuwah's people think he forsakes them when trouble comes their way. They say that Yahuwah has forsaken me. But actually their divine shepherd says to them, I will never leave you or forsake you. Intimate knowledge of the sheep. The shepherd is deeply interested in every single one of his flock. Some of them may be given pet names because of incidents connected with them. They are usually counted each evening as they enter the fold, but sometimes the shepherd dispenses with the counting, for he is able to feel the absence of any one of his sheep. With one sheep gone, something is felt to be missing from the appearance of the entire flock. One shepherd in the Lebanon district was asked if he always counted his sheep each evening. He replied in the negative, and then was asked how then he knew if all his sheep were present. This was his reply, Master, if you were to put a cloth over my eyes and bring me my sheep, and only let me put hands on its face, I could tell in a moment if it was mine or not. When H.R.P. Dixon visited the desert Arabs, he witnessed an event that revealed the amazing knowledge which some of them have of their sheep. One evening, shortly after dark, an Arab shepherd began to call out one by one the names of his 51 mother sheep, and was able to pick out each one's lamb and restore it to its mother to suckle. To do this in the light would be a feat for many shepherds, but this one was done in complete darkness, and in the midst of the noise coming from the ewes crying for their lambs, the lambs crying for their mothers, but no Oriental shepherd ever had a more intimate knowledge of his sheep than Yeshua, our great shepherd, has of those who belong to his flock. And once he said, I am the good shepherd and know my sheep. So I thought that was so encouraging that we're also in this time frame we're entering in. And this is from chapter 18, Shepherd Life, the Care of Sheep and Goats, Sheep in the Land of Israel. And I'll probably do, more connection, because there's also, it talks about the flowers and the lilies, and they weren't considered lilies of what we consider. It is a little bit something different. So, and I have a song by this artist, and I thought it was very relevant, and it's the Shepherd Song, and he talks about when darkness falls and I'm alone, and he's running into the arms of love, and I will have no fear because love will lead me home. And I wanted to encourage, so just because things aren't happening again the way we think, that doesn't mean things aren't happening. And I wanted to put this out and bless, and just to keep watching and not to lose heart, and how marvelous was the story about the shepherds, that even in the nighttime, and he could separate the lambs from the ewes, he could still know by the sound which ones they belonged to. So blessings and shalom.